Good evening and welcome. I'm Ann Caputo of Libuto's Board of Directors, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to celebrate our 15th anniversary. 15 years of bringing enlightenment and hope to vulnerable children in Africa. Our successes are made possible by the support of donors, of volunteers, of staff, and our extensive community of friends and champions. I'd like to spend a moment to send special greetings to those of you who are dialing in around the world, and especially our friends from as far away as Japan, and Kyoko Sato if you are on this evening or morning for you. I hope the new and ongoing supporters will see what your help has enabled us and recognize the generous support that ensure many years of success. During the program tonight, the Q&A feature will be available for you to submit questions for the panel. At the end of the program, the panel and others will answer your questions, and we'll keep the chat open for discussion and questions. And within the program, we'll ask for your feedback in a poll that highlights Libuto's rich and varied programming. Jane Myers, founder and president of Libuto Library Partners, will join me soon. But first, I'd like to introduce our MC, Claire Hart, a longtime supporter and member of our distinguished advisory board and already known to many of you. I've known Claire since 1998 when I joined the Dow Jones marketing team under her leadership. Claire was the CEO of Factiva, a Dow Jones and Reuters joint venture, and eventually became an executive vice president and company officer of Dow Jones. She later became CEO of Info Group and also later Sterling Talent Solutions. She is currently the CEO of Williams Lee, a financial, legal, and professional services firm. Claire brings decisive and results-driven leadership in every role she has played and is a valuable advisor to Libuto. Welcome, Claire.
Thank you, Ann, and good evening, everyone. 15 years, wow. Some of us think there's not a lot to celebrate in the year 2020, but Libuto's past and present really deserves our attention. As a supporter of Libuto since the earliest days, I've watched its remarkable growth and progress. We could talk about all that has happened in the past 15 years, but even better, you'll see and experience the story of Labuto through a presentation of films, videos, and interviews. The story of why Labuto Library Partners was founded, how the libraries have changed the lives of some special Labuto kids, and how, in the face of a coronavirus pandemic threat, Labuto staff are adapting and discovering new ways to do what they do best: teach, counsel, and alleviate the omnipresent anxiety and uncertainty faced by the kids. Most of us cannot imagine growing up without a safe home environment among family and social groups, surrounded by books, art, TV, and school lessons. But during the 1980s and 1990s, thousands of children and youth in Zambia, orphaned by the HIV/AIDS crisis sweeping sub-Saharan Africa, lost even the most basic of those support systems and safeguards. Labuto Library Partners was born out of a desire to reach out to the orphan children who were the victims of the epidemic and abandoned by society. The libraries became safe places for these kids to grow, learn, imagine, and realize their full potential. I hope Labuto's vision of a brighter future for Labuto's kids and all children will inspire you to give whatever you can to sustain and expand Labuto's special programming and the staff who are so committed to this work. Labuto Library Partners is immensely grateful to a generous donor who has pledged to match all gifts up to $25,000 during this event. This is your opportunity to double the impact of your gift and become a part of the family of Labuto supporters and champions. The link to make a one-time or a sustaining contribution will appear in the Zoom chat section throughout the evening, and the address is on your screen now. To understand the amazing journey of Labuto as a public library response to the overwhelming needs of so many children left orphaned and on the streets by the AIDS/HIV epidemic, we present Kids Just Like You, a film produced in 2007 and narrated by legendary civil rights activist Julian Bond, someone who understood the crisis so well.
In Zambia and other African countries, we hear a lot about the AIDS crisis and the people dying there. But what we don't hear much about are the children that are left behind. Sometimes a grandparent or an aunt or uncle can help. But when all of the adults in a family have died of AIDS, the children often end up living on the streets. These children are called street kids. They're kids just like you, but they have no homes, and most of them have no parents. In fact, 1 in 5 children in Zambia is an orphan. The disease AIDS has taken away their parents' lives and their normal way of life. They sleep on the streets where it's dirty and dangerous. And with no one to protect them, they're especially vulnerable to physical and mental abuse.
You know, you get the police also harassing the kids when they find them sleeping in some places, and sometimes they beat them up quite badly. And then, of course, with the little girls, there's always a danger that they'll be raped. Sometimes the children are so frightened of maybe people harassing them at night, they have to sleep in the branches and the trees.
They eat only when they can find food. Some kids have survived on their own for years. Children who live on the streets do not have the money to pay for school fees or uniforms. Many people don't want the street kids in schools because they're afraid of them and look down on them because their parents died of AIDS. Many kids can't go to school because they have to work or beg to survive. Many kids end up on the streets because they're hungry, sick, or depressed and can't concentrate in class. They watch their parents become sick and die. Life on the streets is dangerous and violent, and they're more likely to get AIDS. In many ways, they're forced to grow up in order to survive. But they're also young and innocent. They're kids just like you.
I realized from having to work with the children that were sitting on a time bomb. For me, children are the future. And if we don't look after our future, when this country cannot look after its children or bury its children when they die, then I think we're really in trouble.
In Lusaka, the capital of Zambia, a few people opened a shelter called the Fountain of Hope. It is a place where street kids can go to eat, learn, and be safe. The Fountain of Hope has a small library filled with books from England and the United States. Here, the kids escape the harsh life of the streets and can learn about the world. They love to read books, and they take good care of their library. And they especially want to learn English, which is the official language of Zambia, because they know that English is a way off the streets. The library offers street kids who are not in school a place to study for the high school entrance exam. If they pass, they can go to high school and have a chance for a better life. This library has dramatically changed the lives and future prospects of many street kids in Lusaka. Armed with proof that a library could make a difference, the Labuto Project was founded to build more libraries for orphans and street kids in Zambia and other African countries.
Jane, please tell us a bit about how your simple act of reading to the street kids in Lusaka at the Fountain of Hope led to the creation of 5 Labuto libraries, with the 6th library on its way.
Well, Claire, I have to say, looking back at this time has been a pretty intense experience, to be so vividly reminded of those extraordinary years at Fountain of Hope. Not just from looking back at films shot long ago, but also prompted by the passing in July from COVID-19 of Fountain of Hope's founder, Rogers Mwewa. Rogers led a talented group of Zambians to enrich the street kids' lives with music, dance, drama, and sports. And in 1998, he let this American librarian enter the circle with her bag of books. The Read Aloud program grew the circle, resulting in a weekly 3-ring circus of people who saw that simple act as a way that they could connect with and help children. The converted shipping container that soon housed the books showed us over several years that a real library, combining books with art, drama, music, and sports, not only had tangible results in the children's lives, but could be sustained and become a focal point for community. So how it grew to where it is, from that point, Labuto could only grow to where it is today because of the very generous support of so many caring people, the majority of whom have never set foot in Zambia. Some of you are listening today, some of you listening in today are among our very first supporters, and you have stayed with us throughout this journey. I hope you all know that this is your accomplishment and your generosity that has touched so many thousands of lives. Looking back has also been a reminder that key people on our staff were actually kids at Fountain of Hope during those formative days. In fact, Brenda Mkandawiri, who you saw at the end of that film, picked out, I didn't even realize that Brenda, who runs our family literacy program now, was one of those kids that I knew back in those days as well. So this really has been a revelation even for me in discovering, really understanding our roots better. Anyway, back in those days, these kids sang and danced and painted. They listened to stories or read stories translated from books, and they turned to adults at Fountain of Hope for help. Now they are paying forward that help and delivering the same hope and encouragement to children at Labuto libraries every day. You'll hear some of their stories today and learn why Labuto is a lifeline to so many children and youth seeking a safe place to learn and discover that the street isn't their home anymore.
Last month, I found you here. I found you on the street. No, some of them, they do not believe when I tell them I was like, you guys.
I was sleeping down, so that's why I draw this, because street life is bad.
These orphan and vulnerable children must have felt hopeless in the face of such unsafe conditions, huge obstacles to finding a way out. How did you get those street kids, many of whom couldn't read, to come to the library?
Well, I think that's a really good question, Anne. These children would never dream of going to a place called a library. They would never think that that was something for them. As a matter of fact, I think you saw in the first film that Julian Bond narrated that these kids were really not allowed into any other place. People were afraid of them. They were banned from any public place, and certainly any libraries that existed. So the idea of the Labuto Library was that their doors were going to be the one door open to children to whom every other door was closed. What that required was really very active and sensitive and empathetic outreach, literally going into the streets and finding the children, talking to them about this place called Labuto. We often, in the early days, we didn't even call it a library because the kids would just say, well, I can't go to a library. We heard this over and over. I'm not in school, or I can't read. Well, what better place to go if you can't be in school and you can't read than this place that absolutely welcomed them in and helped them realize that this is where they deserve to be. Our drama performances were another way that was really, really important for bringing people into the library, for bringing children into the library. The performances were open to the community. So everyone wanted to come and see a great performance. At the end of it, someone might stand up and say, well, this play was based on this book in the library, and kids would go racing in the library to read the book. we used every carrot we could, and we were pretty successful with that. But just as every child here is different, every child in Zambia that we are serving, they are different too. They have different needs and different talents that need to be developed. And so a lot of Zambian adults came forward to guide that development in so many directions, so that a single Labuto library has grown to have an average of 2,500 visits a week. And that's a good record for a library any place. Okay, so I guess while I was talking, this poll was running, and we were picking out different things that libraries do. I think most people, 83% of people, kind of agreed with what we thought when we established these libraries, that you can't have one without the other, that obviously if we were going to try to reach out to all of the children that really could benefit from these libraries, you needed all of the above. Right answer. Anyway, now we have a BBC interview that was done a couple of years ago at this same library that has 2,500 visits a week with a boy named Daniel. And he can help you understand why one of the many children that use the library, why he has come to love his library.
My name is Daniel.
Daniel, okay. And what are you reading?
Ceremony.
Ceremony, okay. Celebrating Zambia's cultural heritage. Nice. Okay, what do you find fascinating? What do you like about this book?
Okay, about this book is teaching me about the ceremonies, how Zambia people used to be at the past, yeah.
And how long have you been coming to this library?
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 17.
You're 17 and you've been coming here since you were 13. Yeah. So what do you like about this library?
As in library, I come for main programs. As in tomorrow, we are coming for mentoring. Yeah, dreams mentoring.
And what do you do with the dreams mentoring? What do they do for you? How do they help you?
They teach us about how to be with people, and they teach us self-confidence.
Which is why you allowed me to come and speak to you. And what do you hope to do? How does this library help you?
It helps me a lot of people, a lot of things. If I was just not coming here, I should have fighting in the community, drinking beer, but here I feel safe. Yeah.
And do you have younger brothers and sisters at home?
Yeah.
Do they now come here because you come here? Do you tell your younger brothers and in the community to come here?
Yeah. My sister come for young mothers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she a young mother?
Yeah.
She's a young mother, so she has children?
Yeah.
How old is your sister?
24.
Okay. Oh, so does she bring her children with her?
Yes.
That's wonderful. So it becomes a family thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very nice. If you could tell other children, other young people like you in other countries, what is so good about this library, what would you tell them?
I could tell them this library helps a lot of things, and when you have know something or you want to know something, you come and read the book. You know, there is some computers you can go to Google, you go to it, and it's now done. Yeah.
And then you find it all out here in the library.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can use the computers here in the library?
It's in a computer room. There's a computer room.
There's a computer room here?
Yeah.
And you use it a lot?
Yes.
Labuto has come such a long way in fulfilling their vision of libraries that foster the ideals of inclusion, tolerance, and place in the community. While the focus has been in sub-Saharan Africa, Labuto recognizes that all children have the right to become educated, productive members of society, and leaders of their communities. Helping children and youth to reach their full potential ensures a better world for everyone. We know there are lots of organizations asking you for your support, but you'll find that Labuto is special in creating enduring relationships among the kids, the staff, and its supporters. So much of the special program in reading, arts, drama, and mentoring is developed with grants, but the engine that keeps Labuto going is the staff. Labuto's donor base is the source of the unrestricted funds that ensure operational stability, including the retention and ongoing development of the talented staff. Now we'll hear from Ken Myers as he explains his commitment to Labuto.
Hi, I'm Ken Myers, and I've been a supporter of Labuto since its beginning. I'd like to take a bit of time to explain why I think you should consider supporting Labuto, or, if you're already a supporter, why I think you should consider giving more if you can. Grassroots organizations rarely make it, especially if they're working in challenging environments. Labuto is a rare success story. It's not only survived, it's thrived, and along the way it's helped to improve the lives of thousands and thousands of children, and it's demonstrated a model that has the potential for improving the lives of many, many more. Given this, I've asked myself, why doesn't Labuto have more supporters? And I think there are two big reasons. One is it can be difficult for people to make a direct connection between the children served by Labuto and their own lives. And two, it can be a little bit difficult to understand why an organization centered on libraries is the right approach to helping these children. I'm just going to take a little bit of time to explain what I see as the answer to each of these questions. People can be really generous, but they tend to support causes that have a direct impact on their own lives. So research into illnesses that have affected a friend or relative, or support for a cause in which their faith community is involved. Southern Africa is a long way away, and the children served by Labuto don't play a direct role in most people's lives. But here's something that I can tell you and I think that you should think about. The kids that Labuto supports are just like your kids, or your grandchildren, your nephews, your nieces, other kids that are in your life and are really important to you. Except these kids, well, a lot of them don't have a parent or parents. Some of them are living on the street. Others are raising siblings even though they're children themselves. Some of them lack the resources to attend school, and others are disabled and living in communities that don't have any support services for them. If you knew these children, you would love them. If you saw the circumstances that they were living in and you could help them, you would do it. And Labuto is a way that you can do it and do it efficiently. Let me go on to the second question, which is, why is an organization that uses libraries to support children the right way to approach the problem? The answer is there's research on social infrastructure that shows that institutions like libraries are critical to the function of the communities in which they're located. Labuto's founders weren't aware of this research, but they clearly recognize that public libraries that serve youth can provide a path to integrating marginalized children into their communities. They saw that it strengthened social relations, it made their communities stronger, it made lives fundamentally better. In a way, Labuto was started as a social experiment, and while there hasn't been research on it, 15 years of experience has demonstrated that Labuto works. Labuto has been a remarkable success. These Voices of Labuto, a sample of the hundreds of Voices of Labuto vignettes that can be found on Labuto's website, are taken from the tens of thousands of lives that have been touched by the organization. They tell the stories of children being helped to take a leap forward in their lives. Being part of Labuto gives you an opportunity to participate in changing the world for the better. It's a small organization with a profound vision and the professionalism and drive to show that communities can be strengthened and lives improved and that you can be a part of it. Supporting Labuto should make you happy. So don't wait, take the leap. And don't just donate, give generously and stay in touch. Take some time to look at the Voices of Labuto on Labuto's website. It will make your world bigger, It will help you to know that you are connected. It will help you to know that you are changing humanity for the better. Happy 15th anniversary, Labuto.
Labuto is so much more than the collection of books. The books can open the world to young children, stir their curiosity, introduce them to new heroes, and set them dreaming about a world of possibilities. But at the heart of Labuto is the range of programming in arts, drama, mentoring, dance, music and storytelling, and technology, where the kids can fully explore their talents and creativity. There are many success stories among kids who have participated in these programs. Ernesto's story, narrated by Jane, is notable among them.
Hi, Jane here. I just wanted to give a little background about Ernesto, who's one of several on our staff who started out as one of the vulnerable children who came to the Fountain of Hope. Ernesto was born in Lusaka, and he lost both of his parents by the age of 12. He came to the Fountain of Hope drop-in center in 2000 to begin school, and when the first Labuto library opened there in 2007, he joined the group of participants in the library's first program of the visual arts. Ernesto's early paintings depicted the life he saw in the community, including people fighting and suffering. He liked to create paintings that showed traditional cultures of Zambia. He learned that he felt happy when he was painting. In 2009, he and the other Labuto library artists had a first exhibition of their paintings at the Henry Tayali Gallery in Lusaka. Ernesto went on to learn how to create computer graphics and has since played a central role in creating our computer-based Zambian language reading programs. Then, in 2011, Labuto's artists were invited to display their paintings during a month-long exhibition at the renowned Stella Jones Gallery in New Orleans, opening during the American Library Association's annual conference there. Dr. Jones very generously launched the exhibition free of charge, and all of the proceeds went to support the artists and their training. Well, it turns out that among the visitors to the gallery were actress Angela Bassett and her sister, whom she had brought to buy for her first original artwork. They carefully studied all of the paintings, and Ms. Bassett's sister chose Ernesto's painting of traditional dancers as her favorite, particularly because it was abstract. Angela told her she got the best one. Well, you can imagine how excited Ernesto and the other kids were when they were told about this. And years later, when this story resurfaced during wildly popular showings of the film Black Panther at the libraries, well, he's kind of a celebrity now himself. He also specializes in holding babies when young mothers come to use the library. The art program was facilitated over the years by several celebrated Zambian artists, but it wasn't until Ernesto took over that the program began, for the first time, attracting girls in significant numbers. Just saying. Children of every stripe flock to Ernesto's art lessons, where especially the most shy, reticent, and vulnerable are welcomed, accepted for who they are, and gently encouraged to learn and grow.
Okay, my name is Ernesto Mare. I came to Labuto as a beneficiary. I joined art. Joining art was the most exciting thing I did at that moment. It was a time for me to express my feelings using art. And I met a good team. We had fun with my friends. We had 3 to 4 exhibitions, and I was so excited that I was able to sell some of my paintings. Then later on, I joined with the Labuto Literacy Program, I was doing some editing and some drawings. We also had fun, and we had to learn some of the languages, which I don't even usually speak, but while creating the lessons, I learned one or two things. And then it is so exciting now that after doing all these art things, I'm now the art facilitator. It is so exciting to work with the kids, being able to tell them what to do and helping them on any way they can. You would help them with this.
What a wonderful story of a talent discovered and a life enriched with the help of Lubuto's arts program. Ernesto is not the only young boy to find his way from the streets to a new purpose by sharing his talents through Lubuto. Kenny Howe learned to read years ago by sounding out the T's as Jane read Tiki Tiki Tembo to him. Today, he is the outreach and drama coordinator for Lubuto.
From the beginning, I knew Lubuto when I was very young. So when I met the president for Lubuto, Jane Myers, I was a young boy. So Jane Myers used to come to Fountain of Hope to read books for the kids, and I was a kid by then. And I never knew how to read books. I was not interested. I became interested when Jane Myers started coming to Fountain of Hope to come and read for us, because we never had someone reading books for us as children. I started volunteering for Lubuto until when the guys saw that at least Ken can do something, and then I was employed. So starting from the time I've been working, with Lubuto, I've really enjoyed a lot of programs. Sometimes I do programs that also, benefits me. You find that you are busy, because I also do mentoring and drama, you are busy facilitating. And then at the end of the day, I'm also learning from myself and from the kids. And Lubuto has really helped a lot of kids out there. Some of them have even gone to colleges, universities, because of this place so-called Lubuto, a light. And I would want Lubuto to spread all over Zambia, because I see the kids that we work with here, how they really love our programs, how they really love what we do here. So I feel it will be good for Lubuto to spread out there so that we can save a lot of lives. Happy 15th anniversary, Lubuto.
Wow. Kenny is a force of nature. He looms large in the lives of so many of Lubuto's children and youth. As a role model, a counselor, a mentor, he gives back to his community in such important ways.
Another staff member who has deep roots with Lubuto is Brenda Kandaware. Remember her broad smile in the picture at the Fountain of Hope singers? Like Kenny, Brenda was introduced to Lubuto in the earliest days. And today she applies her experience and understanding of the needs of the children through outreach by reading books to the young children whenever she finds them on the streets of Lusaka. And this next story of Brenda's encounter with a young girl is a vivid example of outreach by Lubuto's compassionate staff.
Lubuto's staff member, Elizabeth Giles, when she was a newly minted children's librarian from the U.S., recounted an early experience at a Lubuto library in 2014. The experience struck her as remarkable. In the years that followed, she learned that the striking experiences weren't out of the ordinary for Lubuto, whose staff bridges the isolated world of children living at the margin to a welcoming space that is designed to provide them with resources that they need to thrive, print and digital and human alike. Elizabeth wrote, "The other day there was a girl sitting in the Insaka. The Insaka is one of the library buildings, a small, round, open space where children often gather. It's a lobby of sorts, and there are usually people sitting in the Insaka or playing soccer in the Insaka. There was nothing out of the ordinary, and what happened next wasn't anything unusual either. Brenda, a staff member of the Fountain of Hope Library, went out and sat next to the girl. Why didn't she come inside the reading room?" Brenda asked. The girl's answer was simple. She didn't know how to read. She felt embarrassed going into the reading room and flipping through the pages of a book she couldn't understand. She was too old for picture books. What did the library have to offer her? Brenda told her about Lubutho Literacy, a series of computer-based literacy lessons in each of Zambia's 7 major local languages that she could access for free in the libraries. The girl wasn't interested. Those were also for young children, she felt. She was too old to sit in a room full of children and use the little OLPC laptops to learn to read. "Okay," Brenda said, "then I'll help you learn to read." For those of us who have watched Lubutho blossom over the years, the story of a staff member reaching out to a child, as Brenda did, going beyond the bounds of the reading room to find a reluctant child and to connect with her, feels just right. It reflects our ethos and the commitment of our exceptional staff to children who are just taking the first faltering steps, who are sitting in the Insaka and afraid to approach the reading room, or standing outside the library gates. Lubutho is designed to be caring, patient, and essential. Elizabeth continued, "That girl probably hasn't learned to read yet. It's a process after all. But the most difficult part of that process, I suspect, isn't learning to decode words or sound them out. I suspect the most difficult part of that process is getting past the voices of self-doubt in your head that tell you you can't learn. You're too old. People will laugh at you. There is no one to help. And I imagine that it would take hearing another voice, a patient, compassionate voice saying something like, 'I'll teach you to read,' to give you the courage to start."
What a sensitive and personal way to reach out and help a young girl. Even if she didn't learn to read in the end, I'll bet that girl hasn't forgotten Brenda's caring gesture. Here's Brenda relating in her own words how much she enjoys interacting with children and young mothers.
Hi everyone, my name is Brenda Mkandawile and I'm the Family Literacy Coordinator. Working with Lubutho has given me a lot of opportunities to explore so many programs, so many positions, and it's lovely working with children. I really enjoy doing story time with the children, and then the other part where I enjoy the most working with Lubutho is where we have to interact with the children, because through interaction is where you can begin to know these children better and also find out maybe if they're experiencing any challenges in any area or any difficulties, or if they are facing problems, or whether they are happy or not. You know, it's really interesting because I believe once you help a young mother, these young mothers, they come with their babies here at the library to make sure that they participate in the adult literacy while their young children are also participating in the early literacy programs.
Your giving to Lubutho helps ensure that staff like Kenny and Brenda can continue to bring the light to kids. Their stories reveal why Lubutho Library Partners is so committed to investing in staff and their development. These are the leaders we need today, and your help tonight goes directly to supporting these staff. Rural communities in Zambia have special problems and special needs. Lubutho's third library opened in 2014 in a rural province and serves a different group of children from those in Lusaka. Many of these kids live in extreme poverty and isolation. They are more likely to be tending cattle in the fields than hanging out in busy city streets. Lubuto's programs and facilities had to be adapted to best serve the particular circumstances of these kids and their communities. The concept of a library offering books, activity, and access to technology was new. And while the children eagerly lined up to visit, some of the adults and traditional leaders in the area were not convinced that this new place had anything to offer them or their children. This notion that Lubuto might not have anything to offer the locals and their children was quickly dispelled by Lubuto's sensitivity to working with local leaders and traditional chiefs. You will hear in the next piece how the special all-girls mentoring is helping to create safe places where young girls can develop behaviors and skills as alternatives to dropping out of school. These girls learn they have options in life, that is, alternatives to early marriage and child rearing.
Hi, my name is Esnat Mangwato. I'm a project coordinator for the Communities for Change project to end child marriages based in Abukuyu, Monze. I joined Lubuto in 2018 as a role model mentor under the Dreams project, and I was very excited just to learn like how much impact Lubuto had in the lives of children, to be specific, the girl child, because that's my area of interest and the area I'm passionate about. So I came to learn that actually, apart from just helping children like to know how to read and to improve their reading skills, as well as just to have something like just to keep them busy, Lubuto has also created a safe space for the girl child. So you find that times when they're not in school, instead of them being engaged in illicit activities such as maybe drug abuse, drinking alcohol, they find themselves at the library doing different activities, whether it's drama, it's reading. So like for example, here in Abukuyu, we have a mentoring program, the All Girls Mentoring Program. So during the mentoring program, these girls, like, they really feel nice just to participate in the program. And then I've also seen that a lot of change has been seen in the girls, like in terms of behavioral change, in terms of how assertive they have become, like after going through the mentoring which Lubuto Libraries has been providing. And then we are also happy that now, apart from just providing these services like to children and maybe the youths, we also have the family maker skills training, which is benefiting the caregivers. So one of the challenges we are having here is high levels of dropouts, and due to maybe teenage pregnancy, child marriages, and this is attributed to the high poverty levels we have here in rural areas. But with the Makers Per Skills Center, which has been provided by Lubuto Libraries, caregivers have been coming through just to learn different kind of skills, and that has really helped them just to sustain their lives and also to make sure that they take their children to school, as well as just provide for their families. So I think I can't really explain like how exciting it is just to see smiles on these children's faces, and just to see how happy they become every time like they are at the library utilizing these services. So I think I just want to say thank you so much to Lubuto Library Partners for continued support in helping these children, and with you now turning 15 years of these exciting programs and services you've been offering through the libraries, I just want to say thank you and happy 15th anniversary to Lubuto. From me to you, it's bye.
One reason Lubuto has credibility as a library is the application of library standards and principles. The application to the selection of appropriate books for the collection, the creation of an online catalog for access, and the evaluation of how the collection is used. Bessa, a trained librarian, finds her experience with children's services has expanded her appreciation of the specially curated collection of books and how they are used. Let's listen to Bessa's interview.
So, hi everyone, my name is Given Bessa and I'm the library manager for the Lubuto Model Library. My experience working with the kids, I think since I started working with Lubuto, I've improved so much because I did my library studies from University of Zambia, but not children's library services. But Lubuto has really helped me understand the library services in terms of offering to children. I enjoy doing storytime session with the kids. I enjoy that much. And then I also enjoy doing certain programs like the book club, which I enjoy, of course, sharing a lot of things with the teenagers and those that are learning to read at a tender age. So it's really been an amazing, because you know the Lubuto environment is quite friendly environment. It's not like a library where you go and you're intimidated already. And that's what I love about it. And your kids are actually very free to express themselves, how they feel. They can come to me, they say how they're feeling, even if it doesn't have to do with the books. But I love, of course, the collection that we have is quite appropriate for the children that we are saving. I can go on and on, but let me say there's a quote that says, success is not in how much money you make, but the difference you make in people's lives. And I feel joining Lubuto has really helped me impact on the children that I serve, and I can see the difference as they grow, as they come to consult. I feel I'm contributing in a small way to these children that we are saving. So I can just say happy anniversary to Lubuto. I hope you have more years to go and you build more libraries across Zambia and beyond. Happy anniversary. Thank you.
We all look forward to the day when Lubuto's friends and supporters can come together again in a live venue to mingle and celebrate. And of course, we look forward to the day when the staff know it is safe to resume all the personal connections with Lubuto's kids in Zambia. The impact of AIDS HIV crisis in Zambia was where we started this evening. And now another crisis will emerge in a post-COVID-19 world in which Lubuto library partners must preserve their assets and pivot to new ways of delivering these meaningful programs. And most importantly, assure the kids that they are, like we are, all in this together. When the buildings of Lubuto's model library in Lusaka closed because of the virus, the large outdoor spaces became the perfect place to teach children to be safe. The public health guidance on wearing masks, social distancing, and hand washing is joyfully reinforced in this performance, inspired by the children themselves. Here you see them in action with Kenny Howe.
Karikuti akakumanja Karikuti akakumanja Tingakate awe kadoti Tingakate awe kadoti Tikatae titae Tikatae titae Tisatani Tisambe kumanja Tisatani Tisambe kumanja Tisatani Coronavirus Tisatani Coronavirus Tani tinango Social distance Tani tinango Social distance Etemula Etemula Kosomora 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 Etemula Etemula Kosomora Kosomora Tiririri 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 Tiririri
Jane, do you know what Tilili means?
Tilili is not even a word in the regular vocabulary, but this is so typical of Kenny and the kids working together with their creativity. They make up every song and every dance all the time, and they so eagerly do it. Tilili was the sound of a guitar.
Jane has a special message to trace to tell us all how Lubuntu began in a humanitarian crisis, created integrated programs to respond to special needs in the community, and what has emerged as the most vital of these services during the coronavirus pandemic.
Lubuntu was born largely in response to the devastating effects of the HIV/AIDS pandemic. The model for Lubuntu was incubated at the Fountain of Hope Drop-In Center for Street Kids in the late 1990s, early 2000s, when Lusaka, Zambia was teeming with young people who were living on the streets, on their own, most often as a result of orphaning caused by the AIDS virus. I became a part of Fountain of Hope, the only place open to those children in those days, participating in the children's tragic lows and exuberant artistic highs that offered moments of transcendence of their unimaginably difficult circumstances. I started a read aloud program with beautiful books and stories that took the children who were building new voices and identities from the rich mixture of music, dance, and drama shared by talented Fountain of Hope caretakers, soaring above and beyond their world. Its immediate impact made clear that what we were offering occupied a central place in their lives. In addition to the books and technology, Lubuntu libraries were defined from the start as a place where caring Zambians brought their talents and gifts to those most vulnerable young people. But perhaps the most important activity that evolved to meet their needs was and is the mentoring that, both as a formal program and informally, pulled all the artistic and literary elements of the library together and drew children together into the supportive and accepting community they so desperately needed. At the library, as one observer said, children who had lived their lives in the margins suddenly found themselves at the center and realized that they deserved to be there. Looking at the effect that Lubuntu libraries and their programs have since had on young people in over 1.5 million visits, it's hard to identify any one resource or program as the reason why so many of them come to their library every chance they get, at an average of 2,500 visits per week to a single library. But perhaps the current moment, a pandemic of a new virus that is changing the world, gives us insight into what may be Lubuntu Library's most powerful draw. Mentoring at the libraries has never been limited to the various formal mentoring programs we have offered over the years. Those programs have ranged from Dr. Lawrence Makuka's Motivational Mentoring, an arts-based character development program that uses traditional storytelling and drama to teach values that strengthen children's self-esteem, to specialized mentoring on public health topics that help youth stay safe and free from diseases. We witnessed and measured dramatic positive impacts of those programs, but in many ways, mentoring is woven into all the library has to offer. Read aloud, translated and sign language story times, teaching young mothers to read while offering childcare for their babies, building self-confidence through acting, speaking, writing, drawing, discussing books, films, and ideas, talking with role model mentors, and on and on. The common element in all of this is people connecting, caring for, and helping one another. Since the coronavirus forced us to close the library's doors, our staff has been busy and dedicated as ever, using text messaging and phone calls to maintain their close relationships with children who are now dealing with anxiety and fear and sorely missing their library. Brenda continues to remotely teach the young mothers and their children to read in English. Ernesto has been guiding children to express their fears and anxieties about COVID-19 in drawings and sending their drawings to him, moving instinctively into the realm of art therapy. Bessa types out and sends popular stories, think Frog and Toad, as text messages to parents and caregivers to read to their children. Youth contact Kenny to talk about the often very serious problems they are encountering. In the virtual mentoring sessions he has been conducting, he responds to their longing for the library to open again by discussing faith. When their anxiety increased because of the increasing spread of the coronavirus in their world, he guided them to think about having hope. It seems the natural progression from there is to focus on charity, love. In our rural library, the wide open outdoor spaces allow Esnart and Wemba to continue beloved story times and mentoring programs and creatively maintain the lifeline they have established for those girls that are escaping the fate of child marriage. As with the rest of the world, we cannot know what the new reality will look like after it's safe to let children come back to the libraries they so miss. The only thing that seems certain is that it will be different. Looking back at our origins in an earlier virus pandemic, we know that relying on the talents and generosity of caring Zambians and on the strong pull of community has created something that is just what children and their communities want and need. That experience sheds light on our future directions and can guide us going forward. The children who so fervently miss coming to their library are not primarily clamoring to read books or use computers. They are eager to talk with our staff, to share their issues and situations, to get advice and support from their very caring and empathetic mentors at the library. Those essential mentoring relationships are a lifeline to and between the children and our staff. Mentoring in all the rich and varied forms it takes in Lobutho libraries has surfaced in my mind as our most enduring impact in offering to children. That and the embrace of an accepting and joyful community.
The Lobutho model of safe and caring places for children and youth to grow and express themselves is one that must endure, even as we cannot foresee all the challenges that are ahead. My anniversary wish for Lobutho is a long and successful future, reinforced by your past successes and enthusiastically endorsed by your supporters.
And as we conclude the program tonight, we have a special message from a board member and her family about what Lobutho means to them. You'll find the link to their message in the chat box. I want to thank Claire for her articulate and wise guidance through this program this evening in celebration of our 15th anniversary. I want to thank our beloved Jane, who inspires us every time we encounter her. And I want to remind you that the celebration continues on for a little while in the live chat and question and answer area. So please enter your questions and we'll stay on for a bit to answer them. And now, the socially distanced board of directors thanks you for joining our celebration and hopes you will become a part of Lobutho's family by giving generously as you follow our journey.
Bye.
Hello, everyone.
Bye.